Hello everybody and welcome to our next Primary School Leaders question and answer session. I'm joined by the amazing Anita Devi, and I'd love to say a thank you to Shenley Brookend School who have lent us this wonderful room in the Leadership and Training Centre. So Anita, could you just give us some few facts about yourself, please?
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. My why, I would say what drives me is the joy of learning. That's my passion. What enables children, young people, adults to learn. And because of that, I'm also interested in, if something's stopping them learn, what can we do about it? So in terms of my background, I'm very fortunate to have taught across phase from early years all the way up to postgrad. I still maintain I'm 21. So when I start telling you the next bit, please bear that in mind. I've had international experience. I've been a Senko, senior leader, SEN advisory teacher in a local authority, which I thoroughly enjoyed about 80% of the schools. I've worked nationally. I think we've just recently launched our planner, and it's in about 4.4% of schools across the country. So, for me, learning, there is something about learning that is exciting, that is inviting, and it keeps me going.
Fantastic, thank you very much. Are you okay to answer our first question from our members, please?
Absolutely.
So our first question was, how can I ensure children's interventions and or extra needed support, so for example occupational health or things like that, don't take away from other parts of the curriculum?
Okay, so I think the starting point is to distinguish whether this intervention or additionality is in class or out of class. And there is a move to doing more in class. And I do think that's a good thing, because actually, what's our definition of inclusion if we're actually keeping them out of class? And certainly, I remember my early days as an SEN advisory teacher. I'd go into schools and you would see a group of children that were constantly out of the classroom and missing out on the curriculum. So I think the shift to doing more in class is a good thing. I think with some of the research, we've also seen that children do need the access to qualified teachers, and that happens in the classroom. So, if you're doing it out of class, let's start with that kind of concept. I think the key thing for leaders to think about is, what is the transference back into the classroom? And that is part of the new Ofsted framework. It's very much around, if you're going to do phonics outside the classroom, what is the teacher doing in the classroom to support that? Are they aware of the targets? How are they getting the children to demonstrate that? Because we've had years of children going off with Mrs. Smith or Mr. Jones and sitting in this group and getting all their phonics and phonemes, but when they come back into the classroom, they're unable to do it. So I think that's a really key thing. And something like occupational therapy, or if you're doing some physical stuff, it could be incorporated into the PE curriculum. So I think there's opportunities. It does require a little bit of thinking outside the box, but I don't think it's unsurmountable. If you're doing in-class interventions, obviously we've got the, maximising the impact of teaching assistants, the 7 principles. When I talk to school leaders, I always say start with number 7. Because actually number 7 is how the teaching assistant and the class teacher interact. What's the communication going on between them? We also then need to think about, in the class, is the teaching assistant, additional adult, whatever the community is calling that role, mentor, whatever, who are they working with? So does the teacher do the input and then actually work with the most vulnerable themselves, and leave the learning assistant or the support assistant to work with those who can work independently and just kind of support them as you can? I also think there are opportunities for the in-class support if you haven't got an adult. And, we know schools are in difficult times. Support staff isn't always in the classroom. To position a table, just an empty table in the corner of the classroom where the teacher can have a panoramic view of the classroom, place themselves there, and actually children can come out just for 2-3 minutes, work with the teacher. She can still, or he can still, keep an eye on what's going on. And actually with that kind of an approach, what you find is it's not just those who we normally think who need support. Actually, sometimes our more able will come out, some who just, I don't get this, miss. So I think there is a need for us to think more differently about the way we use support. I think the journey over the last few years has certainly helped that. If you think about all the work around teaching assistants, and that is a leadership issue. It's not, if the leadership gets their philosophy right around that, then it filters through to what happens on the ground level. And again, this drive towards more in-class support. I think that's the way to ensure that children do get the full breadth and depth of curriculum they're entitled to.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.